Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am just presenting part 2 of Girl Talk. Yeah, I just decided to split this video into 2 parts because it ended up being like an hour long because, as y'all know, I love to talk and people love to remind me that I talk too much, but some of you guys really like it, some of you don't. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I'm just uploading part 2, so this will be the rest of the questions that I didn't get to in the first video. And yeah, if you guys are interested, then just go ahead and keep watching. Okay, so this next question comes from Kate Scarlett, and it's how to be flirty instead of just friendly around guys, and how to know when he's feeling something too. This is something I've also struggled with. Me and Oliver's relationship definitely began on just being friendly with each other, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Like, you don't have to be good at flirting to like get in a relationship, for sure. I definitely never flirt. The one time I flirted with someone and like was direct and like asked a guy out myself, just completely backfired, and I was super uncomfortable and really nervous and like anxious, and I think he could tell, and that just like made him not interested in me. So my advice for that is to just don't push yourself and do something like you're uncomfortable with just for the sake of flirting. Like, the person that you're flirting or being friendly with, even if you like them, they should be able to tell, and they should like you for how you act just by yourself, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't need to act like something that feels unnatural in order to attract someone, because that just never works out. So that's kind of my advice on that situation. But if, you know, the person you like and you're being friendly with them and they're not picking up the signs, then, you know, flirting becomes a little bit necessary. And that's what happened with me and Oliver. We really liked each other for a long time, but we were kind of communicating like through our friend group. Like, my friend Augustin, actually, and who's also our mutual friend, he was kind of playing wingman for us. So like a lot of things were getting lost in translation. So, you know, Augustin would tell me that Oliver liked me, but it wasn't Oliver telling me that he liked me. So neither of us kind of believed Augustin. So, and I was getting impatient because we were about to go on Christmas break and it was my birthday party, and I knew I wasn't going to see him for like a month and a half. So I was just like, I took matters into my own hands because I was feeling, sorry, I just got a notification. Took matters into my own hands. I was feeling ballsy. It was my 21st birthday. I was feeling good, and I just told him straight up that I liked him. I was just like, hey, like, I really like you. And he was kind of flabbergasted, I guess is the word, or he was like shocked by that response at first, and then, you know, it worked out and we kissed and we've been dating ever since. So I think it's always best to just like go for what you want, because even if he had been like, hey, like, I just got out of a relationship, I'm not really looking for anything serious, at least at that point I would have known, which I think is good. So I don't know, just send it, just go for it. That's my advice. This question comes from B Weaver, and it is how to meet new people if you're not interested in people you already know. That's a good question, because I'm not one to really go outside of like my comfort zone. I am such a homebody, and I am such a person who, like, once I find my people, I kind of stick within those people. But meeting new people, I would say, is a lot easier in college, for sure, because you have the opportunity to kind of, you know, go out and like go out with your friend group and go dancing and meet people you wouldn't normally talk to and normally hang out with. And I think that's a really great way to kind of get a little flirty and like meet someone new, is like going to parties, I'm not condoning like the use of drinking underage or anything like that, but there's nothing wrong with going to a party and like talking to new people, and talk to people that the people you already know are friends with, because not everyone has the same friends. I know, like, I have a friend group, but they also have, each individual person has friends outside of that friend group. So try to get to know those friends a little bit better, and maybe you'll meet someone. That's what happened with me and Oliver, and that was really nice because I was only friends with my friend Augustin, and then he introduced me to Oliver, and that's how we met. So just ask your friends to introduce you to their friends, and that's a good way to kind of expand your social circle. And it's also really good because obviously you're friends with that person for, you know, a specific reason. Like, you know, you're interested in the same things or whatever it might be, and they're friends with their friends for that same reason. So you'll probably get along with them really well. So that's always a plus. This next question also comes from B, and she says, things that make you feel more confident. I love your videos, by the way. Oh, thank you. Things that make me personally feel more confident is just taking care of myself. You know, if I haven't showered in 2 days and my hair is a mess and I like look in the mirror and I'm not feeling that great and I'm breaking out, the thing that makes me feel the most confident is to just restart, give myself a spa day, you know, wash my hair, do a nice little hair mask, do a face mask to help like reduce any pimples I have, and like do my makeup for the day, and maybe even, you know, post a picture on Instagram, something like that, something to just like make yourself feel good about yourself. Not that posting on Instagram is like the only source of validation I seek. You should always feel comfortable within yourself, but it's always nice to hear compliments, I won't deny that. So yeah, I think just, you know, getting dressed up, maybe doing like a little photo shoot or anything along those lines just always makes me feel a bit more confident and feel a bit better about myself. And it's not that I don't feel good about myself without makeup on or anything like that, but I mean, that's what makeup's for, is to kind of boost your confidence and make you feel like a better version of yourself, a more elevated version of yourself. So that's what I do to boost my confidence. Okay, so this next question comes from I Kissed God, and her question is, my sister's 6 years back almost ex-boyfriend is in love with me. What do I do? I like him. He's such a good person and has been explaining himself that he'd never give up on me. What do I do, Daisy? This is just my opinion. I'm thinking that a guy who's been dating your sister for 6 years and now likes her sister is a bit of a red flag for me. I just think that's a little bit shady. I don't know, that's just my opinion. But I don't know, like I've heard of situations where people fall in love with other people's siblings and like their exes, and it works out. It takes a lot of work though, and your sister is gonna be so mad at you, I can promise you that, and you're gonna have to get ready to like put up a fight. That is for sure. So I would say that maybe it's safe to kind of talk to each other, get to know each other as friends, and really make sure that you guys are into each other and really gonna go for it. And I think as long as you do that and it's a real relationship and it's a real connection, then hopefully she'll get over it. But that's a tricky situation. I would really look hard at that before you go jumping into all that. But yeah, that's my advice. So this next question comes from D. Wallace again, and it says, how to not let your self-esteem be completely affected by being dumped. That's a good question because it's never a good feeling to be dumped. That I can totally relate to. It makes you question everything, and I think that's a natural part of the process of being dumped. Don't skip over that. I would say, like, always give yourself, if you've just been dumped, like give yourself a day to feel crappy. Like, it's just part of the process. And I think it's really important to like let out those emotions and kind of don't dwell on them. Don't let it happen for like more than a day. I would say 2 days max, depending on how long the relationship is. But like, you know, give yourself that time to cry and feel bad, because it's important to like vent and let those emotions out. Talk to friends, talk to your family, things like that. And then once you've kind of like had that good cry, I think it's so important to turn your mindset around and not focus on what you did wrong, but focus on, you know, what you did right and what benefits you'll get from this breakup. It's obviously, that's a hard thing to think about when you've just been broken up with, but like some things that I usually think about is like, okay, this person broke up with me because they didn't like me anymore, which really sucks, but now that opens the door for someone who likes me for just the way I am to come along and treat me really well and love me for who I am, which is a great mindset to have with any breakup. So that's usually what I focus on if I've been broken up with. Moving on. All right, last page of questions. So this next question comes from Clever Chloe. Hi, Chloe. But her question is dating in college. and that's always like a hot topic. I think the best way to go about dating in college is to just not get so caught up in the fact of like meeting your soulmate. I know so many people go into college and think like, this is the place where I'm gonna find my soulmate and like get married and like blah, 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 blah. And that's all like fun and games, and that does happen to a lot of people. Yeah, I would just say that if that does happen, of course be open to it, and you know, things will fall into place and it'll work out and it's great and fine and dandy, but don't get so focused on it that you're not focusing on your studies, because that's something that I see happen with a lot of girls coming into college. They are so focused on like dating that they kind of, you know, it'll be Friday night and they have this huge project due and they're like, well, forget about it, like I want to go out and meet guys. And I don't think that's necessarily the smart thing to do. But of course, like, don't stop yourself from dating someone in college just so you can focus on your studies, because I think that's such a silly reason to not explore a relationship that otherwise could turn out to be someone you end up with, you know, for the rest of your life. So it's just about finding that balance, I would say. Yeah, it's another thing I'm gonna throw out there. Not that you can control who you fall in love with by any means, but something I didn't think about like dating wise in college is that a lot of the people you date are coming from like all over the world. So when I first started dating Oliver, I was like, this is great, like we both live in Savannah and like, you know, things are gonna work out and be so great, and he's close and like I won't have to do long distance, and that was like a huge benefit for me. And now that we're approaching graduation, I'm like, oh, Oliver doesn't actually live in Savannah. He lives in New Jersey, like far away, and he's gonna have to go back there. So now we're like having to think about how we're gonna manage like doing this, like I don't know what we're gonna do. We're still figuring it out. I don't know if he's gonna stay here in Savannah with me for a little bit, or if I'm gonna go up with him and stay with his family in New Jersey. But that's definitely something I didn't think about. So if you can help it, I would say it'll make things easier down the line if you find someone who is in the same area as you, and like try to date those people, because then you won't run into those problems down the line, because that's happening to a lot of my friends right now, and myself included. And like the same thing happened to my friend Peyton. She's now like in love with this guy head over heels, and he's from India and she lives in Rhode Island. Sorry if I just gave away that information, but like that's something tricky that they're having to now navigate, because you know, he's got to worry about getting his visa and all sorts of stuff. So I would say if you can help it, just try to date people in your area if you're planning on dating someone like long term. These next two questions kind of go hand in hand, and one of them is from my mom, so I don't really think it counts. But my mom says, how do you pick such a keeper of a guy? Please help a girl out. And then the other question comes from poached egg lover. How do you know if someone is good for you? So I think those kind of go hand in hand, and I'm gonna answer them at the same time. I would say being with Oliver has been like the most healthy, easy breezy, easygoing relationship that I have ever been in, and that's what makes me personally feel like it's right, and like he's my lobster, he's my person. Comment down below if you're into Friends. But yeah, it's just, for me, like the biggest thing to know if someone is good for you, it's kind of self-explanatory in a sense. Like, he never causes me issues, he never adds extra stress to my life, he just makes my life easier, and he makes me feel comfortable, and he makes me feel happy all the time for the most part. Sure, like we're in a relationship, of course he's gonna annoy me some days, but for the most part, you know, like we don't have anything that we fight about that's like a recurring issue. It's not like he's doing anything to like make me feel uncomfortable, and we're both very catering to each other's needs, and we're both like, you know, I don't know how to explain that. Like, I'm always helping Oliver if he needs help with something, and I'm getting that back in return, and like it's a nice exchange of goods we've got going on, if that makes any sense. But I would say if someone is just causing more stress than good in your life, it's probably a pretty big red flag that they're not the person for you. And that's definitely not the case with me and Oliver. And like in other relationships, that has been the case, where I definitely spend more days where I'm upset than I am happy. And I think that's the easiest way to decipher if a person's good for you or not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. It just means that you guys you're not meshing well. And I think that's an issue that a lot of people have, is just kind of like falling in love with the wrong people and like trying to make it work because you are in love, but you have all of these fundamental issues that just don't work out well together. And that's how toxic relationships are formed. So yeah, fun. Okay, and then I think this is the last question. Yep. Okay, last question is a juicy one. Not really. But Supters asks, what is my thoughts on marriage and just living with your partner in general? This is an interesting question. I am a child of divorce. Super fun. Twice divorced. More fun. But no, with all due respect, it's fine. Like, I'm fine with it. It didn't mess me up too much, I don't think. I turned out okay. So my thoughts on marriage, I think a lot of children of divorce kind of, depending on how bad the divorce goes, it can make them afraid of marriage. And I see that happen a lot with like friends and just people I know who have gone through divorce. It's like very scary to marry someone and be quote unquote stuck with them for the rest of your life. So that's why I think it scares a lot of people, especially kids of divorce, just because, you know, when you see marriages not work out, it can definitely put a damper on what you thought marriage was, because marriage is supposed to be this huge thing where like you're committed to each other for the rest of your life, and you see that not happen with your parents and you're like, oh well, then like maybe marriage isn't as big a deal as I thought. I know some people I know are like, you can always get divorced, and that's just like not my mindset, which is probably kind of strange. I think I looked at my parents' divorce and kind of saw it as an opportunity to really make sure before you get married that this is the person you want to be with. Because for me, I'm a very like all-in type of person. I'm like always been a very committed person and ready to give it like 110%. And I think it's just really important that before you get married, like the person you marry is on the same wavelength as you, is like you guys are on the same page. Because I know with my parents, I think they just got married probably too young, and they had a lot of growing left to do, and they just like grew apart and figured out that like they were not that great together. And another issue that they had, I know, is that they got married almost straight out of coming from a long distance relationship, and I think that's no offense, mom and dad, huge mistake. But I've learned now, witnessing their mistakes, I have learned through them, so I won't repeat them. But yeah, I would say for anyone who's been doing long distance for a long time and you're considering like getting married, I would definitely say it's a good idea to kind of spend some real time together before you do that, and make sure that you're okay with being around each other 24/7. Because I know so many couples who do long distance and then they move in together and then they realize that they can't stand each other. And it's really interesting when that happens, because you know, you go through this honeymoon phase when you're doing long distance, and you know, every time you see each other, it's like seeing each other like new again for the first time. And every time you see each other, it's just, you're constantly in the honeymoon phase. And then when you actually finally get to be together for an extended period of time, you realize they don't act like that all the time. And I think that's kind of what happened there. But to answer kind of the second part of the question that kind of goes in with the first part, I personally think it's a good idea to live with someone before you marry them. And there are like definitely more conservative people out there, and people who probably don't agree with that because it kind of ruins like the specialness of marriage. But I don't know, I think that's a really great way to test your compatibility and make sure that you're comfortable with each other before jumping into something that is really hard to turn around from, if that makes sense. I'd much rather move in with someone, figure out that I don't like living with them and I don't like them as much as I thought that I did, and just break up, rather than marry that person, move in with them, hire a divorce attorney, pay for all of that, and like go through everything. So in my opinion, I think that's the smart move. But that's just me, and that's probably what I'll be doing with Oliver. So yeah, super fun. Alright you guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video, which is every Tuesday and Friday at 6 o'clock. So this next Friday I'll be uploading my Glossier video, which is exciting. I'm very excited for that one. I've been working hard on it. So yeah, I will see you guys next time and thanks for watching.